KQFNTempe.com. Protect and serve with the elite. Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
Here we go again. It is Beat the Book. Here on 1580 The Fanatic. We are broadcasting live from the Harm Solar Studios here in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And boy, we got a lot to get to. Monday Night Football. We're going to talk a little bit about that Thursday game that's going to be coming up here in a bit. And then we're going to get to some of the picks that we have for you today. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. And Dylan, who are we powered by?
That would be Sport Trade, the newest sports book coming here to the Valley. They will be launching towards the end of this month. The date has not yet been determined, but we will know that soon. For now, you can search Sport Trade. You can even create an account so that you're all ready to go once the betting platform goes live. You can even look up their whale tracker to see the kind of odds that people are getting with them right now, and also see the pretty large wagers that they take in. And I'm sure that they had some pretty monster bets on that really exciting Niners and Jets game last night. Unless, of course, you were a Jets fan, then it probably wasn't that.
It probably didn't feel all that exciting to you. Watching your offense continue to be stagnant, not really move. And then your defense, which was supposed to be this vaulted thing that was, the kind of the factor that brought Aaron Rodgers there was, having a defense for once. And then he got there, and this is the defense that he had, which they had a number of big plays that they gave up yesterday. Some weird stuff going on with Sauce Gardner that we talked about before the show. Just not a fun time for the Jets.
Well, and the day got kind of weird as soon as we ended the show yesterday, because about roughly 20-30 minutes after we signed off, the news broke that Christian McCaffrey was going to be held out for the 49ers. And that's got to be like the number one impact player among all the players that were in that game yesterday. His just talent and ability alone has the chance to move a line. And the line before that news came out yesterday was very commonly 5.5, 4.5, in that neighborhood, favoring the 49ers. As soon as McCaffrey got announced that he wasn't going to be playing, betting markets moved. The line got smaller. Right before kickoff, it was down to 3.5 in favor of the Niners. And they were still able to cover that, no problem. Final score was 32-19. San Francisco took the first punch in that one. The Jets did get that first touchdown. That very first drive between Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, you could really tell that there's definitely some potential there, and it's something that they're going to continue to work on and build as the season goes on. But with the 49ers to miss a guy like Christian McCaffrey and then to still really just dominate this game the way they did. I mean, right after that, the Jets scored that first touchdown, they were held scoreless throughout the rest of the first half. The Niners very easily were getting lots of field goals. They were able to get a rushing touchdown from, I believe it was Deebo Samuel. Of course, there's also another impact player for the Niners that I truthfully had no idea that this person existed until last night. Keon, were you familiar at all with Jordan Mason on the 49ers?
Not very much. I saw his name on the depth chart, didn't really register for me. He was at Georgia Tech, and I don't really remember him at Georgia Tech, to be honest with you.
Well, and I mean, you look at his college numbers on paper, and there's other reasons for why they are where they are. But I mean, the most rushing yards he ever had in a season in college, it was less than 900 yards. And, for that to translate into him being undrafted and, being as far down on that, running back depth chart as he was, and then to, step up when his name gets called. This guy had 147 rushing yards last night, was able to get a rushing touchdown. And just about any time the Niners turned to him on any kind of a run play, he was able to break through the Jets D line and just really have his way. And, furthermore on that, all of that strategy just went a very long way towards keeping the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. And that played a huge part in why, the score was so, one-sided as it was in this case. Rodgers finishes with 167 passing yards. His passing yards prop, right as kickoff happened yesterday, was at about 231, I want to say.
Yeah, which was entirely too high.
Well, and that's really been the theme of this whole NFL Week 1 is
Yeah.
we've just seen just about every single quarterback except for just a slight few. Everyone is going far under on, what their projected, passing yards are looking like before these games start. So that certainly might be something that we're going to have to look to take advantage of for week 2 and, going through those different matchups and trying to figure out what's going to be the best bet to make. Looking at starting to fade quarterback passing yards is probably going to be a theme that we'll end up seeing on this program here. But there were other, storylines to consider from this game. You kind of touched on it a little bit before. There's something weird going on with Sauce Gardner. During the second quarter of the game yesterday, the Niners had the ball and were just charging downfield as the clock was ticking down. It was looking like it was going to be the last drive of the half. And Sauce Gardner's just very prominently standing there on the sidelines, and the commentating crew was trying to get some more context about what was going on. They've got their on-field reporters. They're trying to, get whatever they can out of the 49ers, and the 49ers confirmed to them that Sauce Gardner is not injured at all. So the fact that he's not playing is not due to injury, which then got really awkward. Even the commentating crew is just trying to just guess at what's going on. And then they asked him after the game, hey, like, why didn't you play, leading up till halftime there? Your team really needed you. And he gave some response about like being winded, or I don't know if he maybe meant that he had the wind knocked out of him, but like he was out for a pretty long time for just, having the wind knocked out of you.
And Robert Saleh's answer, by the way, does not help. It's just as vague. He said he needed to catch his breath after that hit on Samuel. That doesn't explain anything. It explains zero things. It's just fishy. I don't know. Maybe they're telling the truth. Like maybe he really just was that winded. It's not great when your number one corner and the guy that you ask to take on the responsibility of shutting down another team's top receiver is winded in the middle of a game. That's not great. Like the season's ready to start. So either his conditioning is horrific or there's something more happening there.
Well, and, for the Jets, like it seems like the biggest, positive that you can take away from in this game is that Aaron Rodgers, made it through and through. And, we're not talking today about how he suffered some kind of, season ending injury or something that was going to set him back and keep him out for, a quarter of the season or half a season. So he certainly surpassed my expectations in that regard. As far as the potential for Aaron Rodgers goes with this team, Keon, it does seem like there could be something there, as long as he's able to continue to stay healthy. It doesn't help that his very first outing was against what appears to be like the best defense potentially in all of football, let alone, being on the road in San Francisco. And as you mentioned yesterday, this is a team that Aaron Rodgers has struggled against for just about like his whole career. So it'll be really interesting to see, how things go for the Jets next week. But another interesting thing kind of happened as this game ended, and it does involve Jordan Mason, and it does involve the coach Kyle Shanahan,
and it does involve the topic and the subject matter of this show, because betting is the name of the game here. And when you have a team that is potentially skirting the rules with injury reports.
So
I'll let you get into it.
Well, Jordan Mason, he got interviewed right on the field as the game ended. He's the guy that everyone wants to talk to. He had this huge game for the Niners, well deserved. And he got asked when he knew that he was going to be starting as the running back in this game. And his just kind of off the cuff instinctual response was like sometime Friday night. And that should definitely raise a red flag to anyone that hears this, because it was only broken just minutes before kickoff that Christian McCaffrey was not going to be healthy enough to play. So then that obviously draws the question of, well, how long did they actually know in advance of the start of this game that Christian McCaffrey was not going to be able to go? And we've seen this happen to an extent in the past. The Bengals had that whole thing with Joe Burrow and the cast, and then all of a sudden, he was injured, then he wasn't. And this kind of seems like a stronger case of catching a team red-handed in trying to mislead the league and in addition the public on who's ultimately going to be playing in this game. And there's rules about this because there's now league endorsed betting markets, and knowledge and timing of knowledge and when it comes out is powerful, and it impacts all the things that we're trying to do, as bettors and trying to take advantage of opportunities. Keon, I mean, do you see any repercussions coming down the pipeline for the 49ers?
Yes. I mean, how could you not? Caesars Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of the NFL. You have an official sponsor that is a sports book, not to mention all of the other deals that they've got with DraftKings and FanDuel and everybody else. Like, it's you can't have this be a money-making machine for you and have information that's faulty and weird and that messes with those betting lines, and quite frankly messes with the fantasy football too, because NFL.com, I don't know how many millions of users they have. They host the Fanatic Fantasy Football League, for the Daily Blender. Like they have so many people that are wrapped up in that information being available when it's supposed to, because there's actual money on the line, not just for the league itself, but for the customers of the league, who they'd like you to keep coming back and betting and keep coming back and watching football all the time. So yeah, I don't think the Niners are going to get away with this one. If they do the investigation and they can find anything substantial, which you already have enough, you've got the player saying, I was told this on one day, and the coach saying, I didn't say that on that day. I'm sorry, there was a microphone in your face on Friday. You said Christian McCaffrey was not playing. So if the player is convinced that you said Friday to him that, yeah, McCaffrey's out, you're in, you have to answer for that. You do, because of the money involved. If there wasn't money involved, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but there's not just a little bit of money involved. There's a lot. And if the league allows this to happen, what happens when teams start taking instructions from people outside of the building on what information you can and can't release? That's a can of worms I don't think anybody wants to open.
No, and I mean, to continue on with that point, I mean, we saw within the NBA last year, the very first instance of external forces essentially impacting a player to the point where that player made a decision to basically tank any future prospects he has to play professionally in the NBA and
potentially anywhere in the world.
Well,
I mean, Jontay Porter really hurt himself on that one.
And that was an instance where, the player there was in debt to a bookie, and that bookie essentially influenced him to, participate in a game and intentionally lower his play, so to speak, so that his unders on all of his props would hit. So,
which is crazy because he was averaging like 5 points a game or something like that. Like the under of 5 is, who's betting that?
Right. I mean, anyone that's like seeking to wager on his props. I mean, that whole thing was like fishy.
Just going after Jontay Porter unders. Who was doing that?
Well, the people that he
That's
coordinated
true.
with
That's
that
true.
turned around and made a bunch of money off of it. But that whole thing just goes to show how vulnerable this whole system could potentially be if there's bad actors in it, and if those bad actors are not held accountable, and this is left unchecked, then I mean there's just very wide ranging repercussions. And in the case of Jontay Porter, he got the death sentence from the NBA. He's never going to play again in the NBA. They had a very, very firm hand in that, and he's also being federally prosecuted.
Yeah.
So,
and the judge, he's asking if he was allowed to play basketball somewhere else. Can I go to Europe and play? Can I go? There's an Israeli league. Can I go to Israel and play? And the judge was like, no, nah. So Jontay Porter, until that judge wakes up one morning and decides something different, can't play basketball professionally anywhere in the world. He can't play for the Shenzhen Dragons either. I mean, it's just there's nowhere on the planet he's allowed to play.
I mean, at that point, I've got to assume Jontay Porter is just massively regretting some of the choices that he made that led to that, because now his earning potential is completely capped. But going back to how this applies for football, when Christian McCaffrey gets pulled from the game, there's a very small window where now all of the prop bets are kind of readjusting here. It was probably no longer than 30 minutes to an hour. And I don't know if there were any other books that before that news came out had props on Jordan Mason, but as soon as McCaffrey was out, and then all the books started to account for Jordan Mason being the starting running back, holy cow, there were some people that won some crazy prop bets on Jordan Mason yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw a couple where, I mean, for him to get 60 or more rushing yards, it was like 10-1 payout. For him to get 70 or more rushing yards, it was like a 15-1 payout.
Wow.
And the guy doubles 70.
Which,
I mean,
man, I should have looked into that, because the Shanahan running scheme, it's a zone blocking scheme, and it requires a running back that makes really quick decisions. So you see the hole and you just hit it. You go through and don't even worry about it. And like in not just Kyle, but like going back to his dad, Mike Shanahan, random running backs have had success in that scheme. So I don't think Jordan Mason's just some random. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that like there was a setup for him on a team this loaded to have success running the football, even though he's not Christian McCaffrey.
well, and then to also utilize the run just to keep the ball out of the hands of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that is a proven playbook for how you defeat a Aaron Rodgers led team. Is you just don't let the guy have time with the ball on offense, because he is someone that can rip off a really long pass to a guy like Allen Lazard, who goes for 6 receptions, 89 receiving yards yesterday, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, anyone that bet Allen Lazard for 2 or more touchdowns, text us on the text line 888-368-1580. Want to hear about how much money you made, even if you just took him for 1 touchdown. That had to have been a really nice payout. I'm guessing it was probably in the neighborhood of like 8-1 or higher.
I would guess that too, though I don't know. I didn't actually get to see that line in particular because I wasn't looking for it. But regardless, yeah, no, I mean Lazard is a favorite target of Rodgers. This is one of those that, like, in retrospect, not that surprising. But at the time, yeah, I mean, it seemed like Garrett Wilson was going to be the choice. Maybe Breece Hall would have some success, but I think Breece Hall was a little shaken up after that fumble that he started the game with. After that, he just didn't look like the same guy.
That was Fred Warner, wasn't that?
Yeah, Fred Warner
Yep.
got in there, punched the football out, and look, textbook. That's how you want to do it. Before we take a quick timeout, I want to get to the text line. Lacrosse guy joining us to say, I was all excited yesterday. I got Jets plus 4.5, and then 30 minutes later, the CMC news broke. It didn't matter either way, but I thought I got a steal, which the logic, lacrosse guy, the logic was there.
It was totally there,
which we appreciate.
I completely. I mean, I was on Niners money line. That was one of the picks yesterday, and when McCaffrey got pulled, I immediately was concerned that was not going to be a winning pick. The Niners have depth. That is what they showed yesterday. For them to not have the best running back in football and to have just dominated the Jets the way they did, it's going to be scary, to see what this team looks like when they're just firing on all cylinders. They've got, everyone back. So that'll be something to keep an eye on for this season for sure.
So we're going to take a quick timeout. Then when we come back, we're going to talk a little soft opening for NFL Week 2. We're going to take a look at some of the lines that we like so far, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the upset alerts that could possibly be out there this week, and maybe take a look at some things that we can try and get you before the lines really start to move. That's the name of the game around here, is trying to get the best value on a lot of these bets. This is Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic. That's Dylan, and I'm Keon, and we'll be right back.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harman Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harman Solar Podcast at harmansolar.com.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
JD Hayworth here, and the road to feeling better leads to my good friends Dr. William and Ava Gaspar at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. With both licensed nurses and physicians on staff by appointment or walk-in, Beehive IV Wellness takes a holistic, naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. All of today's popular treatments are available at Beehive Wellness, from IV hydration to joint injections, even popular semaglutide for weight loss. If you haven't tried IV treatment, you're missing out on your chance to really get healthy. So look them up. Make an appointment or simply walk into Beehive IV Wellness at their Chandler Clinic, where you always get a free initial consultation. Mention me, JD Hayworth, get half off your first treatment. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your mobile phone. You'll thrive with Beehive.
Never again will you have to say, "I missed that segment. I'm such a dinkus."
He's so lame.
Never miss an important segment, favorite host, or show again. Check out our podcast and listen whenever and wherever you want.
It's the reason Al Gore invented the internet.
Follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or at 1580thefanatic.com.
Well, you might have money to blow, but we don't want you to blow your money. Just make some money,
You got to have money to blow to partake in the bets. So.
That's a good point. Solid point there. So we're taking a look at the NFL Week 2. I don't know. I guess we're going to call this a soft opening of Week 2. Taking a look at some of the lines out there and maybe something that you can get an early move on.
And something to keep in mind too is that typically with sports betting, the earlier that you can get your wager placed, the more favorable odds that you're going to see, because most of the money that the book is going to take on the action, hasn't come in yet, and there's going to be sharp money that comes in that moves the line one way or the other. So in a lot of cases, it's very beneficial to get those bets in early. But I would caution anyone listening to this that with football in particular, it's kind of more of a balance, because you're going to have injuries. You're going to have players that, like how we saw yesterday with Christian McCaffrey, just like out of the blue, some big impact person is just not going to play. And that's a risk in all sports, but football in particular, just due to the nature of being such a hard contact sport, the risk for that, in my opinion at least, is much greater than compared to Major League Baseball, NBA, perhaps NHL as well. But for this week, the thought is just that we're gonna go through as many games as we can here and just talk about the teams that we feel like are going to be locks on the money line. And then if there's any teams that we think have a good chance of, potentially upsetting, and, there's going to be some good value to take them as an underdog, then, we want to identify those now. And we happen to have a really incredible Thursday night game that is going to be aired here on 1580 The Fanatic. And that game is between two teams that are division rivals. And one of these teams has something going on right now that is something that happened off the field and doesn't really have anything to do with, the play that happens on the field. But it is a huge storyline. And just due to the timing, this team is going to have, the spotlight this Thursday night. I am talking about the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins Thursday night football matchup. That's going to be played at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. At this point in time, the Dolphins are currently favored. They are minus 142 on the money line. You would have to wager $142 to earn $100 back. And the Buffalo Bills are priced as the underdog. They are at plus 120. So $100 wager would get you back 120. And there's a lot of things that are factoring into this matchup, which is why I wanted to get to it first and foremost. We all know about what's going on with Tyreek Hill and his altercation with the Miami police preceding the Dolphins game against Jacksonville this past Sunday. The police body cam footage has been released. And, there's still facts and, information that is being investigated and analyzed. We haven't seen what, actions the Miami Police Department are going to take, other than, placing, I don't know if it was one officer or multiple officers on administrative.
I believe it was one.
Seemed like it was just one, the way that it's been reported so far. So, there's probably some more things to come with that whole dynamic. But in addition to that, and I wasn't aware of this, and Keon and I were talking about it before we came on the show today, but within the Bills and Dolphins matchup, this is actually a extremely one-sided matchup. The Buffalo Bills have dominated the Miami Dolphins. They've won, I think it's 9 out of the last 10 games going back the last 4 or 5 years. So, based on the history of this, and the Bills still have Josh Allen. The offense, to me, still kind of has some questions. I feel like they struggled a bit more with the Cardinals than what most people were expecting.
The wide receivers for the Bills just aren't there yet.
No,
and Josh Allen tried his best to spread the ball around. So you got some play from Keon Coleman. I think Mac Hollins got a touchdown, which I haven't thought about Mac Hollins in a long time.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, it was just that kind of week for Buffalo, and it's going to be that kind of season for Buffalo where running the ball is going to be a big part of this. And I wonder, how much the Bills can play from behind with an offense that can score like Miami's. If they were to fall behind, that's where I worry about the Bills.
And in this particular matchup, with the Bills having the history of just dominating it so much, it does bring up the question of, well, wouldn't there just be a lot of value then on taking the Bills as underdogs at plus 120? And in my opinion, I mean, it's just not that simple. The Dolphins did beat the Bills last, I want to say it was like they won one game in like 2022. So that did happen with Tua, but Tyreek, I don't believe was there.
I
yet.
don't know that Tyreek was there yet. In fact, I know Tyreek wasn't there yet. And I don't believe that the coach that they have now, Mike McDaniel, I mean, he wasn't there yet either. So, like that offensive scheme, the one that we're used to the Dolphins running with Tua now, where it's about speed, it's about getting the ball over the top of the defense, it's about using Tyreek and his ability to essentially just warp your entire secondary. They didn't have that back then. So I don't this is like a completely different team. And this version of the Dolphins has not beaten this version of the Bills, but this version of the Bills is also a version without Gabe Davis, without Stephon Diggs. So now they're the ones that have changed a lot. This game could get wonky.
And I look at this whole situation with Tyreek Hill right now, and when that was all going down, he had a couple of teammates that happened to pull up and see him getting just accosted by the police. Jonnu Smith tried to offer a little bit of assistance. Calais Campbell tried to offer a little bit of assistance, and what it seems like this has turned into, and perhaps I'm wrong, and maybe it's just some big negative distraction for them. But the way I'm looking at it, this appears to be just a polarizing event that this team is just going to kind of rally around. And it does seem like it's been an early test to, the locker room camaraderie. And, these are things that are difficult to quantify or, really try and kind of speak about how they're going to impact the game. But I think this is something that the Dolphins are just going to use as very positive motivation, and it's going to help them come together. I mean, this is already a team that the Dolphins know very well that they struggle with, and they already have enough motivation as it is to come in there and try and get a win and start to, make things even within this matchup. But then you add this whole Tyreek, police dynamic into it. And I think we're going to see maybe one of the best games out of the Dolphins that we'll see all year long. If the Arizona Cardinals could put up 28 points on the Bills in Buffalo, I have to imagine that's got to be the floor for the Dolphins and the amount of scoring that you can expect from them in this game.
Yeah, and that was 28 points. Granted, one there was one kick return for a touchdown, but that's 28 points without really having a great passing game. The Cardinals weren't truly throwing the ball to get the ball moving up and down the field. It was a lot of the run game. It was a lot of Kyler in the run game. Obviously, James Conner went crazy in that game. So you have the Dolphins, who had a great day from Devin Achane last week, in addition to what they can do throwing the football and moving it through the air. This is a Dolphins team, I think, that's actually very primed to take advantage of some new Bills weaknesses this season.
And Raheem Mostert as well, too. I mean, a very capable running back to pair with Achane.
Mostert didn't do a whole lot last week, but Mostert, they end up on the goal line. That's a Mostert play. He's a big guy. So they're going to be able to take advantage of that too. Yeah, like I do think the Bills struggled with James Conner in large part because of his size. He just is such a strong physical runner that you have to contend with. Mostert can do a lot of those same things. So like the Dolphins have a chance at payback against the Bills here, just matchup wise. I think things are leaning in their direction.
And I would have to agree. If you disagree and you think that there's no way the Dolphins win this game and you should be putting your money on the Bills at plus 120, text us 888-368-1580. We want to hear those opinions. We just want to turn this into a conversation. And, outside of that game, we've got quite the slate set up for Sunday, just, kind of looking over all the odds that are out right now. Not as many closely priced matchups as what we saw in week one. It does seem like odds makers really feel like most of these games are very much tipping in the favor of one team versus the other. The next one I'm looking at here, and these are two teams that each won in week one. It's the New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are currently favored by 6.5 points on the spread. They are minus 310 on the money line. The Saints are plus 250. Clearly odds makers think Cowboys have the edge here. And personally, I was on them versus the Browns. I didn't think they deserved to be priced as an underdog in that matchup. So, that was a good pick. They beat the Browns pretty handily.
Yeah.
The thing with the Cowboys is as long as we're talking regular season, this is a elite team that you can't sleep on.
They're money. They win football games in the regular season, and that's just because they haven't had the success in the postseason, which I think gets held against them a lot. They've been a great regular season team, and not only have they been a great regular season team, they have consistently had one of the better defenses in football and offenses. They just both sides of the ball, they get it done. They didn't add a whole lot this offseason. And they lost quite a bit at some spots, but like at the skill positions, that's all good. They paid just about all of those guys. I mean, you still need to pay Micah Parsons at some point, but that time's going to come. I think with the Cowboys just smothered a team that was supposed to be better. The Saints were the beneficiary of playing the Panthers. Like that's, I don't believe what I saw from the Saints for 1 second a week ago.
47-10 was the final score of Saints versus Panthers. And I
just a bad
wholeheartedly
Panthers
agree
team.
with you on that. The Saints, like you want to believe in Derek Carr, but we've seen this just over and over and over again. I mean, the guy has the ability to, rack up a ton of passing yards and be that kind of a threat of a quarterback that you're looking for, that he's certainly paid to be. And then as soon as these guys get matched up against, a playoff bound team or someone that's probably going to finish above 500, there's just not a whole lot of fight in them. So, you put the Saints on the road, in Dallas, it's going to be their home opener. It's probably going to be a sellout, really crazy environment. I'm definitely leaning more towards Dallas in that one, unless there's some kind of impact player, that's going to come out and, not play, kind of like Christian McCaffrey last minute kind of deal. I just don't see any way the Cowboys end up losing that one.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Just the Cowboys are not the Panthers. It's horrifically simple analysis, but it's just a fact that just you played the worst team in football 1 week. Guess what's not going to happen against the Cowboys, who outside of the Niners, that might be the best defensive performance of the weekend.
Yeah,
you're not going to do that to that Cowboys defense. Micah Parsons was having himself a wonderful day last Sunday.
I want to jump over to a couple of games on the schedule, and I brought this up to you earlier. Based on the odds right now and how things are priced, the two absolute closest matchups that are expected right now, just by sheer coincidence, happen to be games that involve your team, Keon, and then my team. So the two games I'm talking about here, we have the Giants at the Washington Commanders, and then we also have the Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. And in each of these games, the spread is only 1.5 points. So these are the two on the Sunday slate that just at least as of today have an expectation that, these should be close competitive games. Looking at that Giants and Commanders game, I mean, we know that these are not two of the, most elite teams in football. They're probably not going to be making the playoffs. But it is an opportunity for Jaden Daniels to earn his first victory, as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He honestly, for, being a rookie and just being in that environment for the very first time against a team that won its division last year in the Bucs, I didn't think Jaden Daniels did all that bad. I mean, I think he belongs.
He did pretty well.
And
did pretty well.
Washington made a good pick there, and hopefully he's that guy that they've just sorely been looking for. Because they really haven't had much of a brand name kind of career quarterback over there, and
it's
a little while.
It's been about my whole life. It's been roughly
I'm like racking my
20
brain.
some odd years, like
oh,
most of my life.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I mean, there was a brief moment with Robert Griffin III. The knee
That's
injury
true.
happened there. There was a brief moment with Kirk Cousins. They completely disrespected him and then refused to pay him. so that ended the way that ended. And then, before that, I make a very strong case about Jason Campbell potentially being that guy, but they had an offensive line so bad they got him actively killed. So I just think that there were opportunities, there were moments. Patrick Ramsey, same thing. Like there have been guys that could have been the guy, but either injuries or just incompetence caused that to not work out. So I'll take Jaden Daniels. He's been very good so far. I like him.
I think in this particular game, it's almost my feelings about the Giants that really kind of drive the reason why I feel like the Commanders are going to win. I do not have a very high opinion of Daniel Jones. I think most people outside of New York also feel that same way. Daniel Jones, in my opinion, is like he has done the absolute least to get paid like the absolute most. And the contract that the Giants signed him to is very much looking like just an absolute poison pill and a complete boneheaded decision from management. Daniel Jones was extremely unimpressive in a home game against the Minnesota Vikings that the Giants should have been able to have put up more of a fighting chance in. They got blown out 28-6. The Giants did not manage to score a single touchdown. Daniel Jones is always reliable for interceptions. So by the way, if you're thinking about things to bet on, I had him for one or more interceptions. I'll probably play that every single Sunday this season. So
Daniel Jones, by the way, 42 interceptions in his career. He threw the most interceptions of his career in the first year. But it's been bad every year that he's played. And last year he threw 6 of them, but he also just played in 6 games. So
he's got 2 already.
Yeah, he's got 2 already to start the year. And I want to wrap this up here so we can go to break so we can get to some of your picks today. But like Daniel Jones has never had, outside of 2022, a winning record in the NFL. It's never happened. Why did they pay him? What about any of the things that he did on a football field did they think it was worth paying him for? I genuinely don't know what they were looking at, but they chose Daniel Jones, and they specifically did not choose Saquon Barkley to choose Daniel Jones. I
bet you want those 3 touchdowns right now if you're the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable to me how incredibly poorly run that organization is for an organization that has won 2 Super Bowls in my life. I actually 3, but 2 that I remember watching. I just don't understand it. Why are they like this? I have no words. I have no words.
4 years, $160 million with a $36 million signing bonus, $92 million guaranteed.
Oh,
unbelievable.
If I woke up tomorrow in the body of John Mara, the owner of the Giants, I'd give everybody involved in that organization a raise. Just keep doing that. I like it when you do that. So before we get to break, let's see if we can get to the text line really quick. First off, we've got Kendrick the Schmendrick on the text line. Kendrick, I'm not reading all of these texts. You just sent a bunch of texts. The first one was Diener and Kendrick in the house. Let's go Niners. I understand you're happy about your Niners. He also asked you, Dylan, why do you like the Cubs upset? I would ask you to hold on to that until we come back from the break. And then he had some texts about his cousin LaShawn. That like, the hell are you talking about, Kendrick? And then he asked me if I like football. Yes, I do. Taco Kenny says, ahoy, fellows. Happy Taco Tuesday. Speaking of taco, the missus is happy that she finally got her Urban Agave card that she actually won. The only thing is from writing on the letter, she thought that I got real sauced and wrote it myself and sent it to our home. But hey, happy wifey is a lifey. Go Doyers. All right, Taco Kenny. Appreciate it.
Glad
I'm glad
to hear we got that straight.
Yeah, we got you your card. Mrs. Taco Kenny is happy. Nothing could go wrong there now. I mean, it's all on you now. If anything that gets screwed up afterwards is no longer our fault and no longer the responsibility of CRC Broadcasting. All right. So Dylan's going to answer your question, Kendrick, about the Cubs upset and why he likes it, and give some of the other picks on the other side. This is Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic. I'm Keon. That's Dylan. We'll be back.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick here. They say I transformed the quarterback position. The fastest ever, the strongest arm, the most rushing yards. They call me a game changer. I say BetUS.com changed the sports betting game. It started 30 years ago with the industry's biggest bonuses, and they haven't stopped. This football season, get a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Join me at BetUS Online Sportsbook and Casino, BetUS, where the game begins.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids.
Faster! I'd rather play catch with my dog than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. If you are 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease or asthma, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'd rather race for some ice cream. Let's go.
Schedule your vaccination today at Prevnar20.com.
Kickoff football season down at Kasai Japanese Steakhouse, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better or more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just for dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with their specials on Asian-inspired comfort food like Togarashi chicken wings, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and their signature Wagyu beef burger. It's a touchdown every time at Kasai Japanese Steakhouse at either of their 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird, and now open in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
AZ Preps 365, your source for all the news, info, highlights, and more. Athlete news and interviews. Talk with coaches. Keep you up to date with the changes, moves, upcoming events, and more. AZ Preps 365, Arizona's ultimate prep sports show. If you miss a minute, you miss a lot. AZ Preps 365, Saturday mornings 8 till 10 on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
Now, you can be the guy that eventually gets bits and pieces of the latest news.
Or you can get the whole story when it breaks.
The NFL is always in season here.
That's how we do it.
Follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Or at 1580thefanatic.com.
And we're back. And apparently so is Booger Wolf. And
What is it?
It's
You're giving me this look right now.
it's an attempt at an insult that is, it's beyond stupid. Like, it's actually, I'll just read it. I'll read it. I was gonna not read it because I was just like, this is so far away from anything that we're gonna get into. But he said, man, that game last night was almost as close as the game between Keon's rec league team, the Booty Fish, had against Sandra Day O'Connor's elementary squad this past weekend. The Booty Fish lost, ... Booger Wolf, and I mean this, and I mean this in love. Do not take this the wrong way. You have the worst insults. They don't offend anybody. Who's supposed to be hurt by this?
It's quite the imagination.
It really is. But where's the punchline, Booger Wolf? Where's the joke?
Booty fish.
The booty fish. Who named the team that? Did I name the team that? Did I play? Did I join a team?
Which rec league approved that team name?
Yeah. Why were we playing elementary schoolers? What parents allowed the school? Like, there's just none of it makes sense on any level. Just zero levels.
I'm just picturing the soccer mom for one of the booty fish kids.
This is yeah, right.
You got booty fish over like the minivan.
Yeah,
like a decal.
The door rolls in. It covers up the fish. It just says booty. Look, I don't know. I got nothing for you, man. Get better stuff and come back, man. Please. So, Kendrick the Schmendrick, in the sea of unreadable things that he sent me, unreadable not like in a bad way, just because it's just not in
he's a little all over the place.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the road.
Yeah.
But he did have a good question. He asked about your Cubs pick. You took the Cubs to beat the Dodgers. They're the dogs in that game. Why did you pick them?
So just want to take a step back real quick. If you are looking for what the picks are today, you can visit 1580thefanatic.com, click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website where all of the picks are posted, and those go on there Monday through Friday. There's going to be 12 picks plus a long shot parlay. Likewise, you can follow me on Instagram at Beat the Book Fanatic, all lowercase spelled out. Hit the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the same place where you can see the picks. So under the other bets to consider for today, there were a couple of things I had put on there for the Chicago Cubs and LA Dodgers game that's taking place tonight in Los Angeles. These teams played yesterday, and the Cubs won in pretty convincing fashion, 10-4. And if you look at the regular season series as a whole, these teams did play each other a few times back in April. So you do have to kind of take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But the Cubs are currently up in the season series 3-1. So, doing the AI analysis on this, it's looking at many different data points. It's looking at, the full overall matchup between these two teams. It's analyzing the pitchers. And one thing in particular that it did identify with this matchup tonight, it has to deal with the pitchers. So you've got Shota Imanaga going for the Chicago Cubs, and he has had a spectacular season so far, 12-3 record, 2.99 ERA, and he's going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And Yamamoto is one of those coveted rookie pitchers that the Dodgers did sign to a pretty big contract over the offseason, and they haven't been able to get a whole lot of production out of him because he has been out for the last few months now with a triceps injury. So as the Dodgers are trying to ramp up now towards playoff baseball, this is really the only chance that they're going to get to, insert him back into the lineup and try and get him some repetition so that, he can shake off some of the rust by the time that they start to play postseason baseball. So that being said, this is Yamamoto's first game pitching in about 3 months. So you can definitely expect him to be a bit rusty. I think it's a low likelihood that he just comes out there and gives the best performance he's had all year. But more importantly than that is that AI and myself as well, we're not anticipating a very lengthy pitching outing out of Yamamoto tonight, especially with it being his first start coming back from this injury. So if he's going to be pitching lesser, amount of innings than normal, and the Dodgers are going to have to rely on their bullpen to try and, preserve any kind of a win that they may have by the time he ends up leaving, that's something where, the data suggests that Cubs hitters are going to be able to really take advantage of the Dodgers bullpen. They put up 5 runs on the Dodgers bullpen yesterday, and they won that game 10-4. So pretty big margin for a baseball game when you're winning by 6. So coming into this matchup tonight, look for the Chicago Cubs players to, I personally think they're going to do very well against Yamamoto. As long as Yamamoto gives up at least a couple of runs and then he's got to hand it over to the relievers. Right now, I mean, we're seeing some really stellar hitting out of the Cubs. They're getting contributions from guys like Pete Crow Armstrong, who is one of my favorite rookies right now. He's a very talented player. Dansby Swanson's been doing well. Ian Happ's been doing well. But I think the biggest contribution you're going to see is out of the former Dodger himself, Cody Bellinger. And Cody Bellinger yesterday he went 2 for 4, had 2 runs, had a home run, 3 RBIs. So, look for a similar kind of performance. I think Cody really brings his best whenever he's playing a former team, particularly one like the Dodgers that he won a World Series with. So there's a lot of value in taking Cubs on the money line, priced as an underdog. But as we're wrapping up here, want to just shout out a couple of the other picks I posted on there. You can look to bet on the Phillies money line today. They are taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays have Taj Bradley starting today, and he has been giving up a ton of runs lately. Phillies have been hitting well at home. Look for a guy like Kyle Schwarber to do well in that matchup and get some RBIs. The other pick I wanted to mention was the New York Mets money line against the Toronto Blue Jays. The Mets are arguably the hottest team in baseball right now. They've won 9 out of their last 10 games. They've got David Peterson on the mound, who's got a 9-1 record with a 2.75 ERA. So pitching matchups definitely in their favor on that one. And if you want to see the rest of the picks, just search Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen. You can just put that into your browser, and I'm sure it'll take you to the right place. You'll see all the picks that I've posted in the past and everything that's out there for today.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365.